Hi, in this video I want to discuss, the final video tonight, I want to discuss you don't realize the imposition because it's the default. Like you get used to the bad because it's sort of like, yeah, life still exists, but you don't realize how bad it is because you've been living it. And just because it exists doesn't mean it's right. Ideas I've mentioned before, the same thing. It exists, it's an imposition because you don't realize it because it's the default. Right? It's the default, therefore it's something that isn't in a position because you're so used to it. You're going through this day-to-day motion, the grind of going here and going there. You don't think about the car drive there, or you don't think about what you're doing on your way there. You don't think about it. You're sort of distracted. But the distraction is based on the idea that you are doing it based on negative. It doesn't matter the imposition, everyone else, every interaction we have. We don't see it. We see ourselves as individuals. We're just experiencing and interacting with other people. We can realize that when the second the person says hi, that's going to change how everything's going to go, but it's inevitably going to happen because there's constantly just things changing. That person saying hi is no different from me moving my finger from here to here and not even thinking about it. Because it's just in the flow of time of movement, just doing the same old thing. Doesn't matter if it came from here, it's still an effect having on everyone else. It doesn't matter if I move my finger, it's the vibrations effect everywhere. But this finger is not going to directly affect this person or that person necessarily unless this finger pushed someone over a cliff directly. It's going to be something, I push my finger this way and all of a sudden it caused a gust of wind, this, that, the vibrations, okay, that person saw it, therefore has an effect on them. They think something differently. All of a sudden they think of it as a knife, they decide to kill their wife, whatever it is. There's all sorts of effects that we have. Going back to the idea, and yes, we're so used to, we're so distracted by our day-to-day, whatever, mundane existence. We can say same shit, just another day. That kind of saying, that same old saying. We understand it to a certain extent, but we don't realize we still get caught up in the moments, and that's the thing I think many people are still doing. They're getting caught up in their excitement moments. They're still having the dopamine rush as they go to as they go to skydive, as they go to do their whatever they find exciting. They still get that dopamine rush. They still get the high. They still, smoke their dope, or they still do this, or they still do that. They can't wait. They're so motivated. Oh, I can't wait to not be sick anymore. I mean, all sorts of things driving their mechanism. They live in the moment. They are living very fleeting existences as they constantly move forward, which shows how life is. But yeah, the imposition is there regardless. The negative is there, even if we don't notice it. The imposition of everyone else, the fact that the negative exists, it doesn't matter if you win, it's still a negative because it's based on your desire, or it's based on a negative, you're avoiding a negative, or you're going to be affecting someone else by taking it, so it's going to be a negative as a whole too. So it's lose-lose like I mentioned before. So it doesn't mean anything in the end anyway, but the imposition exists because it's the default. We're so used to the default imposition. Okay, that person says this, I'm used to this interaction, but it's the default imposition. Whatever that imposition you can say, the imposition of existing as a sentient being with other sentient beings or anything. Just it's a default when we're existing in the universe. The universe is going to have an effect on us. We're going to be experiencing based on our interactions. I run into a tree. Okay, the interaction could be as simple as there's a wall. I have to walk around the wall. Whatever interaction, every single thing that's moving, every single moment, there's an interaction. My finger moving at the speed of light, even though it's only moving 15 miles an hour, it's moving at the speed of light from its foundation. I'm inside the movement that I'm moving. There's a speed of light movement that creates the animation, like the paper's flipping. The papers are flipping so fast, it's creating a hand that's moving this fast, but it's flipping the papers. At a speed, but also the speed is that the papers are moving at the speed of light that create the foundation of the speed. That's creating the initial animation is the thing that's moving at the speed of light. That's the vein. I wanted to make an analogy to that point. Not use it necessarily as an example to explain the term. But anyway, yes, the imposition, we're still here, right? We're still here, therefore life must be working. Oh, it's an equilibrium. Therefore it's here, therefore it must be working, therefore it must all be right in the end, right? No, just because we can not be here doesn't mean that we should be here. Just because it's still here doesn't mean it should be here, and doesn't mean that it could not be here. It can easily just be evaporated. All of a sudden, oh, it's working, right? Yeah, but it's working until it eventually ends. So what, the longer it exists, are you really going to know then what the real Yes, it's right until you know the one that's lasting longest, which there isn't. There's only one as far as we know. And we know it's going to end eventually, so there's no right or wrong. It's going to end, and once it ends, you're going to say it was all, worked out in the end. No, it's going to say it was going to end anyway, so there's no right or wrong. There's no it still exists, therefore it's right. There's no it doesn't matter. There's no more of these excuses. There's no more of these crappy arguments people want to come up with when it comes to denying reality or using them as examples. Life's just another, same shit, just another day. I think we all understand that, but they apply it until it's the same shit, just another day for me in my circumstance. I can't wait to go to the beach though, and then they just get used to that, and they just get caught up in the same thing. It's the fact that they're so short-sighted and rigid. They realize it, but they don't realize it encompassing everything. They just realize it. Same shit, just another day until I get laid. Same shit, just another day until I eat my next meal, my next sandwich. Same shit, just another day until I go to the beach for my vacation and get some relaxed time. Obviously, all I'm doing is avoiding a negative and such. It doesn't really matter. I'm just doing the same old, same old. I'm on vacation because I've been so sick of work, the same old mundane. Oh, I can't wait to go back to work now. And they get caught up in the whole game again, and they don't even acknowledge it. Obviously, you can still think life sucks and realize it, but still get caught up in the game. It's just about acknowledging the fact that that's the game and trying to do something and use that as a motivation to fix that issue. These people want to do nothing, or they want to do something, but they're doing something that still has some kind of that's working against the ultimate goal. They're not really doing anything, or I don't want to interact. I don't want to tell people they can't have babies, so I'm just going to say that. That's not helping them. You're being useless. So yeah, I think that's not very useful. But anyway, I guess this will be another kind of short video. But yeah, you don't realize the imposition because it's the default. Sort of like it's already here. I mean, it must mean it's still working, but it's eventually going to end anyway, since there's only one, and one is no example of what's working or not working based on 1 out of 1. It's only 1 out of 1. It means everything, but it doesn't mean it's working. It's eventually going to end, therefore it's not going to work in the end anyway. The functions that are working inside aren't going to mean anything, but there's no working or not working. It's just working until it ends, and that's the only way it's going to work. It can work until it ends for 5 minutes. It can work until it ends for 5 million years, or a billion years, or trillion years. It doesn't matter. It's going to end eventually. Beginning and end gives the context of the existence. It's just going to be one domino falling in the end, and that's it. Lights out. There's no big old door opening to the light. It's just the domino falls, and that's it. Sort of like you fall once you die, and it's just dust in the wind at that point. Your body falls down, creates its vibration, has its effect on everyone and everything around you, and that's it. It leaves its last vibration, and that's once all the other things have fallen, the last vibration rings out, and that's it. There's nothing more to this game. So, yeah. So you don't realize the imposition because it's the default. You don't realize it. You're just very short-sighted. You realize it in your specific circumstance until things change. So you go on vacation, but then you don't realize it again. You just get caught up in the game. At least acknowledge it as the truth and try to fight for the truth as best you can. Because that's all we can do and all we can hope for. And that's the ultimate goal, is to end it. End where we started. But we already went through all the pain, so we're going to end in a negative because it existed. But it's about learning the lesson, right? Let's learn the lesson to make sure we can fix this problem as soon as we can, as soon as possible. But we're going to be thrust into it again. Who knows? Let's hope not. But it's against our will, remember? So we can only do it. We can only learn our lesson if there was a lesson to learn, if there was an option for the lesson to be learned to begin with. Our existence created a lesson to learn. Therefore, we have to learn a lesson now. So, yeah, it's one of those things, right? Unfortunately. Yeah, so you don't realize the imposition because it's the default. You do your same old, same old. You don't think about life and its imposition and the effect it has on everyone else because it's the default. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. Acknowledging it at least is accepting the truth that your imposition has an effect on everyone else, or your being and your interaction. Even though obviously I mentioned that you're just a piece, you're still having your effect. You're still moving around. You're still a piece bumping as a whole in the piece, in the puzzle. There's no universe needing us either. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting kind of tired. Sorry. So anyway, yeah, let me just say it one more time. You don't realize the imposition because it's the default. So yeah, just because it's the default doesn't mean it's not an imposition. It still is. And just because it's an imposition doesn't mean it's the default, I guess. It is the life game. And the life game, I guess, by default is an imposition, because there's nothing else. It's a default and the one and only. I suppose you can say. I guess I just don't know where I'm going with this video. I guess it should be over now. So yes, we're going to say it -0 times, -1. You don't realize the imposition because it's the default. So glean whatever you can out of that statement and whatever I said in this video. It's very important to understand that just because you're caught up in the game, and just because it's the same old, you need to recognize it. If you do recognize it, at least you say those platitudes and those statements, understand it, reinforce it, and understand exactly what's going on as a whole, as opposed to your specific circumstance. Look at the pieces as a whole. It's the whole that matters, even though the pieces matter, because the pieces make up the whole. Remember that. But yeah, it's still in a position. Every action you take. We're all imposing on each other, so we're all having an effect, so everyone else is just as much as guilty as me if I'm the one that's killing, even though I'm the one that carried out the act. But I'm the one that's going to suffer the consequences, because it's still me, because we're the pieces inside of the game creating the rules. Life's not creating the rules, we're creating the rules, and those rules are going to be the consequences that based on our actions. Or life can take its toll, and something's going to happen, there's going to be a consequence regardless. Whatever the consequence is, it's going to be either this and that. It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter. There's a consequence and the value that's gleaned out of that consequence, and we're still the pieces in the game. So yes, we can still take responsibility for our actions, because we're still pieces in the game, giving and taking the consequences based on the victims of our circumstance. And we're victims of our circumstance, and the consequences that we take from committing an action or a crime are circumstances as well. So if we are guilty of a crime, we could still be guilty of the circumstance of our conviction of being guilty. Therefore, we can be, consequence can be I rot in jail for the rest of my life, or whatever it is. That can be something that exists, because we're just pieces in the game, being victims of circumstance, and the consequence that I created can be that I suffer the consequence of suffering whatever consequence that happens, whatever it is. It's going to be something because I'm the pawn in the game of consequence and circumstance. So anyway, it's still in a position regardless. So yeah, anything else I have to say on the subject, regardless of the facts? Yes, so anything I have to say on the subject, I'll mention in another video. But I think I mentioned enough right now, and I'm very tired. So let's get some shut-eye and see what happens next time.